This is episode number 26 of the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast with our special guest, Matt Kory. Welcome to the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. My name is Jeff Thornton, alongside my co-host, Michael Anders. Each week, we bring you an inspiring person or message related to our three pillars of success: manifestation, business, fitness, and nutrition. Our intent is to enrich, educate, and empower our audience to take action, control, and accountability for their decisions. Thank you for allowing us to join you on your journey. Now let's get started. We would like to thank our sponsor, PowerDot. If you're looking to evolve your training and fitness, go with PowerDot Muscle Stimulator. All you have to do is connect the pods to your PowerDot app on your smartphone via Bluetooth, and you're good to go. PowerDot harnesses electrical muscle stimulation, also known as EMS, to maximize your body's effort. You select the muscle group you want to target, and an impulse is sent to your pods that causes your muscles to activate. It's that simple. Be sure to check them out and get yours at powerdot.com.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 26 of the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. Mike Anders here with my co-host, Jeff Thornton. And our guest today is Matt Kory.
How we doing?
Good. How you doing, brother?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What's the official title of your company? Pangea Financial?
Pangea Wealth Management.
Wealth Management.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's snazzy.
It works. You start out with a name and then you just keep working and working and working. You
Right.
look back and you're like, do we still do that? Yeah. Should we rename it, rebrand? And you're like, no. Let's just keep running, man.
Yeah.
Let's just keep running.
Dude, I love your story. As you got Pangea off the ground, because you bootstrapped it for quite a while, and you did double duty, working in the nightlife for quite a while.
Yeah.
As you were getting that thing off the ground. And I remember you telling me when we were, building the gym and you and Terrell had joined, like, bro, you have to get out of your business if you want to work on your business. And as we sat down, had coffee, had beers, whatever, you were always asking me, how are you tracking your performance? How do you know you're getting better?
Right.
And you got, I don't have an MBA. I don't come from business school of any kind. I just know that I'm good at what I do. And that's really all I was equipped with when we opened the gym. So you really facilitated the expansion of my vision in terms of what success in business actually looks like. And the term you keep using is KPIs.
Well, KPIs, it's funny. A lot of people worship KPIs because it's so simple. KPI stands for Key Performance Indicators. And it's funny because when I told you about it, you were like, well, what is that? And I think I forgot what KPIs even stood for because it becomes a thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But in CrossFit, or what we're doing, whatever gets measured gets improved, right? You can do things and, you have a lot of activity and you're running around, and it feels like things are happening, but unless you measure something, it's never going to get improved. And you measure every workout, how many times you've been there. And for a person that tries to better themselves physically, when you measure it, number one, you can see progress. When you see progress, you gain momentum. When you have momentum, it pumps you up to keep going. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, I asked you about your business. I'm like, cool, man. So what are you doing to track the business? What are your KPIs? And you were like, huh? And it was crazy to me because it's so innate in what you do when you're working out and when you're trying to improve yourself
on the job. Yeah.
That's when I said, hey, take a step back. And the beauty of it, and I've been doing this for about 8 years now, and I say it every day, I'd love to be working on the business, not in the business.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. What that means is making these things that you're measuring, you do a lot all day long, right? Mm-hmm. And especially when you get started, you have different revenue streams, you have different activities you're doing, and you're just trying to have an identity for what you're looking to do.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you have to bring value.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you have this wonderful journey to find out exactly what you do to better the situation, the company you're working with, the people you deal with. So you have your value proposition, but you realize that you did all this work to figure out, what do I do on a daily basis to make money?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It eventually comes to that epiphany. So then you're like, well, if I do these things, this is what makes me money. So what activities can I do to make this happen? At the end of the rainbow, now money's being made. So when you
Right.
start thinking about your business a little bit further,
Mm-hmm.
you're not the one doing all the activity. You get to track these things. That's where
Right.
the KPIs come from.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easy to track yourself. You know how much money you're making, what you need to get done.
Right.
But once you have other people you're working with,
Mm-hmm.
they have to know what you're doing. You need to know what they're doing to get to the eventual
Right.
goal, which is funny because
Sure.
it's all the same. We could be talking about, bettering yourself physically,
Mm-hmm.
bettering a business. Whatever gets measured gets improved. So
Right.
KPIs are just how a lot of business people do it
Right.
because it's easy. You market. How many calls do I have to make to get how many people on the phone, which equals how many sales, which equals how much in revenue.
Right.
Your KPI is never the revenue.
Mm-hmm.
It's how many calls did I make.
Mhm.
Right.
Right. And do you
know?
find from industry to industry the KPIs sort of, so to speak, change, or from employee to employee? Say like the upper management has their KPIs, but the lower level consultant, so to speak, has like billability. Billability is their KPI.
Right.
So how do you find the difference between the KPIs between?
That's a fantastic question. So a KPI is always an evolving thing, and it's funny. It's funny because it's really frustrating. So you're trying to simplify your business. Well, to make anything simple is actually really freaking complicated because there's just too many levers and dials. So when you ask what are the different KPIs, absolutely, right? So a KPI is an activity that you can measure that's going to garner results. You can never measure the results because the results vary. The clients are different, they're big, they're this. So billable hours, I think a good KPI for a consultant would probably be utilization,
Yeah.
a percentage of utilization, and you have to make sure that utilization's there.
Mm-hmm.
But you can deconstruct that and say, what keeps me utilized? Oh, okay, so now I need X amount of projects in the pipeline to become 80% utilized at all times and running at my capacity.
Right.
So what's my KPI, utilization or the number of projects? It's probably the number of projects because that will result your utilization.
Right.
So the more you think about it, the more you can kind of construct this, and now you're focused on, as a business person, building the pipeline of projects. You're not the guy trying to be utilized.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the spoke anymore in the wheel. You're the one driving the car.
Yeah, that makes sense.
See what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's why, I've always been a KPI person, and I have never had solid, consistent KPIs in my business. I'm a puppy, and I've been this for 8 years and 10, and I read and learn like you guys. I don't have an MBA. Why? Because I'd love to. I'd love to be able to go to class and learn about this stuff. Get a grade at the end of the day. Did I do good? Give me an A.
Right.
Life doesn't give you A's, B's, or C's. You either make it or you don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? The school's awesome. I love learning, but I like learning outside of school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll tell you what, there's a pass-fail out here.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
So when you were talking about your business and how I got started,
Mm-hmm.
It evolves. I've seen you evolve since we first started at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
When we first started at the gym, it was a gym.
Right.
Now it's a business.
Yeah.
Now it's a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's actually got, it evolves and it's got some momentum. I think the only way you can do that, and I always ask you, is how many, I see you coaching. When we first started, you were coaching sun up to sundown. And man, I was just like, you're the best coach you have. And he's like, thanks, man. I go, that's not a compliment.
That sucks.
I love you, bro, but that's not a compliment.
Right.
And now you've been able to spread your programming, your vision, your brand to everybody who touches your business in a way that's a multiplier. You just said the book you were trying to read, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you start multiplying your efforts, now you're tracking other people's KPIs.
Right.
Right.
So that's why I was so obsessed with it.
So how did you? Let's go. I love the origin story. Because I want to wrap around to the value or not so much value of an MBA as you enter on the entrepreneur space.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to that. How did Pangea come to be?
Well, it's funny because I was in the mortgage business like a lot of people in Arizona during the awesome heydays of mortgage, because you get out of school and you're just doing paperwork for people, get them in the house, and everybody's making a lot of money. And the thing is, as I got into the industry and I realized what was happening, I'm not going to say that I was any kind of whistleblower or anything like that, but I saw it was not sustainable. When I was doing a loan for somebody that was $1 million loan, and then I saw the deck page, which is the insurance, it's hazard insurance. If the house burns to the ground, I need to insure to build it up again. And the insurance deck page said $250,000. And I go back and I'm like, to the underwriters, I'm like, oops, I must have messed up, because this is $1 million house. The deck page says 250. Like, no, that's what it cost to build it. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not smart, right out of school, Yeah. You think you know everything, but at that point I really felt dumb. I was like, so you're telling me it cost $250,000 to build this thing, but we're selling, or this person wants to buy it for $1 million. I'm like, yeah. And I was like, this is not going to,
Yeah.
It just didn't make any sense to me. So I got into the, we started looking at the loans and how they got processed. And I can't do anything without knowing how it works. I just can't. I never have been. So I got deeper and deeper into it. And I realized that the loans, it just wasn't sustainable. So I jumped out way before a lot of my friends. And, I was single, right out of college, and have a family, this, that, and the other. So I just said, hey, you know what? I'm just going to look at something else that I could grow as a person. It's going to be sustainable. I really saw that this isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then sure enough, the mortgage crisis crashed and this kind of stuff. And by that time, I was just bartending in Scottsdale. I think I took maybe a 1.5 2-year hiatus, and I just bartended. I had a bunch of friends that, owned bars and stuff, and I was a little older of a bartender, per se. But, I was slinging drinks, no big deal. And at the time, I was like, I needed something to do. So my cousin's husband was on a plane, and I happened to be on the same plane to Manhattan. And he was in the finance industry, and he told me what he does, and I'm like, wow, that's impressive. And he goes, what? And that you are doing this. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, well, I like you, I know you, but I don't think it's rocket science. You find out what people's needs are, and you help them get there using financial products. I'm like, it's kind of what I was doing. Let's do this. She was like, okay. So on a plane flight from Phoenix to Manhattan, or that's where I was going, but wherever I was flying to, we had a business plan on a napkin. And I go, what does it take to be in finance? He goes, well, you need your Series 6, 7. You can do 7, skip the 6. I'm like, cool, 7. Or, just because I want to get there as quick as possible. And he goes, well, there's the 65 and 64, or you can get the 66, which encompasses both. Okay, 7, 66. Skipping steps.
Right? Sure.
Because I don't know the industry. I don't know what just tell me what I need to do to get where I'm going.
Yeah.
So sure enough, he said, this, life and health. So I go and I Google what all these things are. And then I find an online thing that says, here's the books to study of them. And boom, I ordered it and showed up. And it was like a crate, a box of books. It looked like an encyclopedia you used to buy, And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. But I was only bartending. So I would wake up, started a routine. I'd wake up, I'd study, I'd eat, I'd study, I'd work, go to bed, wake up, study, eat. And I think it took me a month, right? And then I came back to the guy, hey, I guess let's get this going. I'm ready to take the test. What do I got to do? So he was like, it's been 3 weeks. And I go, yeah, let's do it. So he got me on a small broker dealer. I took the test and I passed the Series 7.
Nice.
And he goes, whoa, I don't want to tell you, dude, but most people take 6 months to a year to study for this thing. You did it in about 3 to 4 weeks. I'm like, nobody ever told me it takes 6 months to a year.
Ignorance is bliss,
man. You told me I had to do this, and I got it done.
Right.
Made a schedule, got it done. So it worked really hard, but I was slinging drinks the whole time, right? Which is fun. You're social. It keeps you from going out because you think you're out. You're just actually making money instead of wasting time and money.
Sure.
And this guy sits at my bar. And I'm all excited. I passed my Series 7. I worked really hard on it. And then I got my life and health and all this stuff, right? So I'm all like, I'm licensed up. I can make financial dreams come true. I don't know anything, but I make financial dreams come true. And this guy sits at my bar, and I see his, card, and he's like, oh, I'm in finance. I'm like, oh, me too. I'm bartender, right? So he looks at me, and he goes, what do you mean? I go, well, I just, I'm going to start a finance company. Here's my business card. And I had a business card. Here you go. So he gave me his, whatever product he was selling. He goes, oh, so you have the products, right? And then you get people like me to sell it to other people, right? Because I'm still learning the business. I don't know. And he goes, yeah, that's kind of how it works. And I go, cool. I'll be probably up and running in a little bit. And he goes, all right. He goes, Vodka Collins. Oh, yeah, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
He reminded me where I was.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, Vodka Collins, here you go. And then he was chatting this, that, and the other. Nice enough, pleasant guy. And I go, dude, in about 2 years, you're going to be doing your little rounds here in Scottsdale. You'll be knocking on my door, begging me to sell whatever it is you're selling. And he goes, well, I hope I do, he says. And I go, I hope you enjoy your Vodka Collins. Nice enough guy, but he didn't believe me.
Yeah. Right.
Sure enough, worked hard. We got a little teeny tiny space. We were subleasing from another, real estate office. So we have a little corner. There were 2 of us in the office, me and my business partner. We couldn't stand up at the same time because our chairs would hey. So I noticed I'd be like telling him when I was going to get up, so I'd knock him out of his chair. It was that small. And all of a sudden, this the girl in the front comes to me and says, hey, there's somebody here that wants to see you. And I'm like, see me? I don't know if he knows I'm here. But we registered our address, right? Sure enough, standing there with his little bag of stuff that he's going to show me is the same guy. And I'm like, no way. I'm like Nostradamus, right? I was like, I told you, man. But I'm all cleaned up. I'm all bartending. So I said, yeah, come on back. Tell me what you got. So we sat down, and he gave me his whole spiel and pitch. And he let midway through, and I'm just sitting there with a smirk, and not really listening.
No matter what you say.
What you say, I'm not going to sell your stuff. No, he was a nice enough guy. But it just, at the time, I was like, man, he didn't believe me. He didn't believe me whatsoever. And here you are sitting in my office, just like you told me you would. And he looks up and he goes, you're that bartender. And I go, you're Vodka Collins. And he goes, no way. So this day he still drips on me too. So I still get invitations to go to stuff. But he was like, you know what? He said it. He goes, I didn't believe a thing you said. He goes, I let you know right now, it was most people don't open up a financial firm. You work somewhere for Merrill Lynch or whatever for like a bazillion years, and then you learn the ropes, so to speak. But you go through a bunch of different levels of grind. Yeah. But nobody told me that. It's the same as this test. Nobody told me I had to do that kind of stuff. And I looked at the industry, taking a step back, and I saw it for what it was. Yeah. I said, you're trying to bring value to people who want to accomplish something, and there's things that help them get there. That's what we're going to do. I mean, I had a business partner that had been grinding it for, about 4 years. But nobody told me that's how you do it. So we started a company. I've never worked for anyone, and it was really cool because at the end of that, I was like, you know what, you keep your chin up and you keep working. And, we were sitting on different sides of the table, right? Which was awesome. I thought that was cool.
That's cool.
That's dope, man.
But that, and I think when you're starting up, you got to find inspiration where you can find it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Good or bad. Somebody that believes in you is almost as powerful as somebody that does not.
Right.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? And it's not that he didn't believe. It's just that if somebody's looking at you like it can't be accomplished,
right,
that means there's a bunch of people who just didn't even try it.
Right.
It's like these wonderful barriers to entry that you don't even know exist. And if you find something that's super easy, what barriers to entry are for other people to do the same? We're not building anything.
Right.
So that's a true story. 100% swear to God.
That's awesome, man.
Honest to God. And that was kind of how it all came about.
Yeah.
We've been plugging ever since. But
And I'm sure you've had, how many times have you guys moved offices?
Man, I had a client. She's awesome. She goes, man, you guys move around more than Osama bin Laden. I was like, man, that was the funniest thing ever. But, you grow, you expand.
Right.
The last office I was in was 3 times the size of the office I am now. You get smarter.
Right.
You understand that everything's a bootstrap. I'll tell you right now, you look in a big office, the person that's reusing staples, you know what I mean? Paper clips. And, that guy is probably the business owner. You know what I mean? So when you have to pay for everything from the lights to the staples, you just have a different way of looking at stuff. And at the end of the day, things that need to be accomplished have nothing to do with kind of like you evolve, you grow, you find out what are the needs to get to what I'm looking to do. So man, we've been all over the place, but at the end of the day, you have to keep it lean, you have to keep it mean. Find out what the value you're bringing is and focus on that.
One of our guests a couple of weeks ago told us that if you look at, if you're occupying space, you need to look at it like a bar.
Yeah.
And every square foot of that place should be making money. If nobody's playing pool, get rid of the pool table and put 4 high tops over there. And I think that's kind of the message that you're sending there, is that if it's not helping you as far as business is concerned, it's hurting you.
Oh yeah. And
know?
the thing is too is that you have to try stuff. You just have to. So if you look back at all the waste and wasted time and wasted effort and wasted money, you drive yourself nuts. Me and my business partner, we actually started measuring the mistakes and how much money it cost us. And I think the average mistake cost us anywhere from 15 to 30 grand, just because we would just averaged it out,
Yeah.
Either think about an employee or a move to an office or the rent for a year or some of the unutilized space. So it's funny. And it was, after doing that little horribly depressing exercise, we're like, that's dumb.
Right.
Let's start measuring the most effective things that we've been doing. What have we taken from, marketing or some sort of energy to production to delivery to money in the most seamless, best way we possibly can. And we started measuring that. And it's funny, I never thought of that till right now. I think it was right after that horribly depressing exercise we did. So, you know what? Let's not go down that rabbit hole. Let's look forward at where we're at now, where we want to be, and what is our biggest drivers to get us there. And remember I was telling you, I got a whiteboard that tells me my revenue streams. And I figured it out. I've not figured it out. And it's always changing, right? But I'm like, what are those things that get you to where you're going and that fits the vision of your company and what you're trying to do? And start measuring those. And that's when you get back to your KPIs. That's why I'm so obsessed with the damn things.
Right.
Because you find out those things that really, are the wind in your sails, and you're like, it's not an accident.
Right.
There's certain activities that garner different things that become your revenue streams.
That's awesome, man.
It's easy to fall in love with like the nice to haves, but that don't really generate any revenue. It's that shiny ball hanging out in front of you, and then like when you're talking about for us bringing on more merchandise of some sort, whether it's t-shirts or supplements or whatever, if it's just sitting there, because for us, a lot of the shit we don't even have to fucking market. Like, it moves or it doesn't.
Right.
There's no pitch. And if it's just sitting there, like you said, you have to make mistakes. You have to try things. And I stopped categorizing things as mistakes. You have to learn lessons.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And but like you said,
it's only a mistake if you didn't learn from it.
Right. Well, it's only a mistake if you keep fucking doing it.
Well, vanity's got a lot to do with it, right? Because you do certain things. Because, what I've learned, it's funny. I had this conversation with somebody. That's my pool guy that I fired. You give somebody a chance. No, but the thing is, at the end of the day, everybody. So we always try to better ourselves. It's podcasts, working out, doing what you're doing, the business things that you learn. You're always trying to improve yourself. So you're trying to be somebody, and I think it resonates when you have little kids. Now that you look at your kid for the first time, you're sitting there with 10 minutes, like the most heaviest time of your life, because they have this wonderful potential in front of them, and you hope that they're going to be somebody. So we're all trying to be somebody, and that's kind of crazy. What I've realized that as a kid, who you are and how you are different things, right? Because as a toddler, how they act and how they react is different than who they are, because there's wonderful, beautiful beings. They're your child. So they're wonderful things and people, but you're trying to train them to be better, right? So, discipline. They say you shouldn't discipline your kids. Well, discipline comes from, the word disciple comes from learning. So if you're not disciplining them, you're not teaching them how to be a better person. So what I was trying to explain to this pool guy, because he keeps giving mistakes and keeps under-delivering and stuff, is I'm like, and I was talking to T about it, and she goes, he's such a nice guy, but he does these things. We eventually, as an adult, we don't have the luxury we have as toddlers. Who you are is how you are. See what I'm saying? So when you talk about KPIs, that's the how, you can control how you are. And that will eventually become who you are. If you're not evolving as a person, you can see it. And you start hiring and firing people, you start realizing this real quick. You hire them because you like them as people. You like them, you like who they are. You really have to be cognizant of how they are. Right? And it's easy to do to other people. Judging other people's fun. That's easy.
You're right.
What's really hard is judging yourself.
Right.
When you realize as an adult that who you are is just what everybody sees, but how you are is how you became it. Does that make sense?
That makes
So
sense.
the decisions you make every single day, how you run your business, the things you do, don't do, are under your control. So I think as an adult, as a business owner, and your first reaction to disappointment is wrong 95% of the time. Because we're all emotional creatures, right? That's how we are. How we are is how we react. Who we are, I'm pissed, man. I'm excited. I'm pissed. I'm this. I'm a very emotional, vibrant person, right? That is me.
Right.
But I can control how I react, how I deal with things. And it's a powerful thing because, you ever be in talking to those people in bad relationships, and they're just telling you, but they're such good people, but they did this and they're this and they're that. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, it's I'm very weary of what comes out of people's mouths after they describe somebody as a great person, because
There's always a but.
Because whatever comes next is going to be negative, horrible. They're going to start exposing terrible character traits.
It's always a preface.
It's always the preface to something shitty.
Yeah.
It happens all the time in the Marine Corps. Oh, great person, shitty Marine.
Yeah.
Great Marine, shitty person.
That's probably never the case, though.
Sometimes it is.
They just go through the steps, and at the end of the day, they don't.
I tell people all the time, and a lot of veterans don't like me saying this, but it's absolutely true. The military is the easiest place to be promoted through mediocrity, because the wickets are there. So as long as you show up to work on time, you don't beat your wife, and you're not a raging alcoholic,
You're good.
you're gonna get promoted.
Which are all good things.
Right? But it's easy to be mediocre, even though, we're held in such high esteem as service members and stuff like that. It's kind of like sucking in the NFL. You're still a great athlete with respect to the general population, but you're just not excelling at that level.
Right.
You're the dumb kid at Harvard. You're still at Harvard.
Right.
But you're not the valedictorian. So it all comes with context and perspective. So
Well, also, I think a lot of it has to do with, you're talking about two humongous institutions, right? So you have the military that has hundreds of years of institutionalized KPIs.
right.
Right.
Sure. Yep.
So all you have to do is follow them. You
Yes.
fit in a box and you're awesome, right? NFL, that's amazing. Professional athletes are amazing at what they do, right? There's a skill. They practice. They spend a lifetime to perfect the skill. It's amazing.
Right.
But they didn't invent the game. You imagine if a pitcher had to design baseball, the rules. What happens if this happens? How many innings are we? The intricacies of the actual game.
Right.
And then have to learn how to pitch. Well, that's what an entrepreneur does.
Exactly.
So when I was talking, I have a lot of friends that I'm not a big sports guy. I don't follow it, but I love sports because they're institutionalized structure. You do something, you practice it, you get better. You can improve. You can move the needle. It's amazing. However, in an entrepreneurial world, we design the game.
Right.
And then we have to play.
Yes.
And be the best player on our own team. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So when somebody says practice makes perfect, and just keep practicing and doing what you do, and you'll get better. Well, yeah, that's easy if I'm in a humongous institution that already has built this for me.
Sure.
But if you're creating the institution, it's a much difficult. I don't know if there's an answer. I'm just kind of venting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, absolutely.
And as an entrepreneur, do you find it more valuable, so you say creating the game, so to speak, when you're creating your business, do you find value in learning everything there is about the business first before you start delegating out your tasks? Because then you can't be snowed or BS'd by somebody who comes in and says, this is how it needs to be done. You're like, no, I've been through that way. This is how it needs to be done. Do you find the value in that before?
I find the value in that, but you are going to stump your own growth, if that makes sense. If you are the expert, so there's technicians that do what needs to be done, and then there's people that drive the organization.
Mm-hmm.
If you are better than your technician, you're in the wrong seat.
Mm-hmm.
That technician needs to be better than you to move the organization in the direction that's
right.
going. Now, you need to know what that technician's doing. I'm saying if you're selling cars, you better know how an engine works.
Right.
You don't have to know how to fix it, but you better know how not to look like an idiot.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a level of proficiency I think is vital in doing what you do, or you wouldn't be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
However, to pretend that you're going to know better than your technician or the want, don't find the value as an entrepreneur being the best technician.
Right.
Because you will stunt your growth right there every time.
In the book, the 50th Law, which you turned me on to, I'm in the middle of it right now. It's 50 Cent's entrepreneurial journey.
Like the rapper?
Yeah. So from street hustler to rapper to the entrepreneur that he is now.
Uh-huh.
And there's a quote in there that says, I didn't go to Harvard, but the people that worked for me did.
Right.
And that I think that kind of speaks to the deal. And I mean, that's the hierarchy you find in the military as well. Your officers are the big picture guys, but they're not the technicians.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They're not necessarily the subject matter experts. They know how to manage resources. And I think as an entrepreneur, that's the seat that you need to get to as soon as possible, where you're now sitting above the subject matter experts who are doing, and now you're managing and keeping the vision on course.
Yeah, you need to be the visionary of the organization, because I'm telling you right now, when your head's down being a technician, that task needs to be completed to its perfection. You literally have your head down. That's why they say it. Put your head to the grindstone, head down, get your stuff done, because you're focused. A visionary doesn't have the luxury to be that focused. You really have to look at the horizon, because your industry's changing. Your competition's moving probably faster than you are. There's a lot of wonderful things that keep us up at night that makes us better. And if you're a technician, you have no idea. You're going to wake up like Kodak one day and say, hey, everybody went digital and we're still trying to do prints.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's what's going to happen if you stunt your growth as an entrepreneur. And you know what? You become an entrepreneur because you're the best at it. I got into finance because it interested me from a little kid. I just didn't know. I'm on the West Coast boy. Everybody East Coast does finance. West Coast doesn't exist.
Right.
Which is cool because nobody told me my own barriers, right?
Sure.
Right.
So I'm going to conference next week with people that have been doing it 60, 70 years, because their fathers did it. Mm-hmm. That's how they got into the business.
Right.
It's generational. It's that ingrained in some people. And because I think I'm a little bit of an outsider even from the beginning, now I do a lot more industry stuff because I can see the industry. It's changing. We've already been doing business the way we do it for 8 years. The industry just changed as of next year, about mid-year, it's going to change. Mm-hmm. The whole industry is going to change.
But that's the way you've been doing it.
That's the way I've been doing it because it made sense.
And you didn't know any better.
I did not know any better.
Right.
It just made a hell of a lot of sense at the time, and that's the direction we were going. And guess what? Regulators caught up to that. And I'm like, well, yeah. Shouldn't we be telling people how much they're paying?
Right.
That's crazy. So at the end of the day, like I was saying, value is a big word because if you don't understand your own value and how you're helping other people,
right,
they're not going to want to work with you.
That's interesting. Do you find it, going to use the word valuable, that you didn't have those set limitations on you initially starting out your business, or even, you said you knocked your studying out, your coursework out in 3 weeks compared to 6 months or a year. Do you find it valuable that you didn't have those set limitations of that mindset, so you've been able to expand a lot faster and grow and think, well, it won't be more further thinking than the next man?
So I think because of the fact I was so naive, what I did is I looked at the box of stuff that showed up on my doorstep and I asked myself, what am I capable of doing, as opposed to what is expected of me. Those are two different things.
Sure.
I said there's X amount of chapters. If I do this many chapters per this time frame, KPIs again, damn it. I really did. I figured, well, I could probably gobble up this coursework in about a month. I could probably do it in 3 weeks. And by the end of it, I was sick of actually studying, so I wanted to take the test, tell you the truth. And I got the exact score I needed to pass. I'm not telling you I was like the dumbest kid at Harvard.
Right.
I got the exact score I needed to pass.
But now
First time. And now I never have to do it again.
Now you're in the game.
I'm in the game.
That's right.
So when that question best answered is, instead of looking at your industry and what everybody else is doing, ask yourself, what am I capable of doing? And try not to get blinded by what everybody else is doing, because you're building your own barriers.
Yep.
Right.
And nobody told me I was supposed to inherit a book of business from my dad.
Right.
I just thought, well, if I need to do this, I have to go find people that I could help. I didn't know that, but now I know.
Yeah.
If I would have talked to myself at the bar, I would have been the guy sitting there with a smirk saying, yeah, right, kid.
Yep.
Knowing what I know, about a decade deep in this industry.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, I don't know. You end up limiting yourself.
Right.
And
Is it easy now that you're a decade in, and do you find yourself helping guys that are now the guy behind the bar, or do you find yourself cynical knowing that 9 out of 10 people say they're going to do some stuff and it never happens?
I am a firm believer of stupid positivity. If my little 3-year-old girl wanted to be Batman, and I said, there's a Batgirl, and she said, no, Batman with the muscles and stuff. And I was like, got her Batman. Well, I'm not going to limit somebody's vision of what they want to become.
Right.
I'm going to let them limit them. It's never going to be me.
Sure.
So if somebody has something they want to accomplish, I will just ask some probing questions like, how are we going to get there? If this is truly something you want to do, let's not talk about it, be about it.
Right.
What's your game plan? Give yourself a timeline. You need to be encouraging to the people around you. And you think that these people that mentoring is just as valuable and it's just as helpful to the mentor. I'm telling you right now. I'm never usually the mentor. I'm usually the mentee.
Right.
But man, seeing somebody else succeed is infectious. It's great.
Totally.
You surround yourself with the people that are of similar ilk, because, man, you ever been with a downer?
Right. Can't do it.
God, can't do it. They
No.
suck the life out of you, and everything's wrong, and everything. Oh, it's bad.
Yeah.
Again, that is a controllable you have. That's
Yes.
how you are. You're either a positive person or a negative person. And if somebody says people can't change,
Bullshit.
that person that says that
Can't change.
can't change.
Right.
I'm telling you right now, I am different than I was 10. I'm different than when I met you.
Yeah.
You're different than when I met you,
Yeah.
big time. And if you're not evolving and you're not concentrating on the how you are,
Yeah.
you're never going to be anybody.
When it comes to that mentorship, that mentor-mentee hierarchy, if you had to put a ratio on how many mentors you have versus how many people you mentor, what does that look like?
I have as many mentors as they will let me. I ask for help when I need help from people that I respect and I trust to give me advice that's honest. And they do. So I'd say 10 to 1. I don't like mentoring other people because then I'm emotionally involved in their success, and it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Truthfully, it's kind of selfish. I'd much rather have a bunch of mentors than mentor.
Right.
Does that make sense? Because now I'm emotionally vested in their success and what they're doing, and I care. I can't turn that off,
Right.
So if you think about that, there's mentors that hopefully are emotionally involved in my success, you know? So it's kind of nice to have, it's pretty symbiotic, but you need that. I think it builds you as a person.
Yeah. Having all those mentors, also keeps you humble in the sense that you'll never be the smartest person in the room.
Oh, I never have been. That's a comfortable seat.
Right.
I love that
Mm-hmm.
because the smartest person in the room thinks they know it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The smartest person in the room is rarely the most successful. That's your technician. You know, C's get degrees. Reason being, you need to be proficient in what you're doing, but not be bogged down with trying to be the smartest, the best, the fastest. You want to be the fastest? Be the fastest to market. You know, you want to be the smartest? How about being a differentiator in a saturated market? How about taking a step back and looking at what success factors am I going to build into my corporation, business, life, whatever, that somebody else is not? Smartest person in the room is just trying to answer questions to get an A.
But do you think, going to the smartest person in the room, think of somebody like with an innovator mindset, the one who goes 0 to 1 that actually creates a new industry or new product, sort of like an Elon Musk. I've read a lot of stuff about him. He is the smartest guy in the room pretty much, but he always acts like he's not the smartest guy in the room. So he'll do a probing question to somebody, like he'll walk into like a shop and say, okay, tell me what this engine does, so to speak. And he'll just let them answer the question. Then he'll walk away and say, interesting. And he's like, if you get it wrong, you're gone. But if you get it right, he'll just say, okay, you continue on with your work, you know. But what do you think about, do you think it varies from your level of where you are in your progress, like from an innovator or an early adopter or somebody who just...
You've ever heard the term stupid as a fox?
I haven't heard that, no.
It's because I deal with a bunch of old people. Old people terms are the best because they're universal.
Yeah.
They are universal. Maybe, you know, we don't go hunting foxes
Right.
anymore. You do say foxes. I was like, is it fox eye? No, foxes. Foxes, man. You know, but the thing is, stupid as a fox, they say that because a lot of times the smartest guy in the room isn't the guy talking the whole time. If you're ever in a sales meeting or anything like that, if you're doing 75% of the talking, you're not going to sell anything.
Right.
You know, it's one of those things where the smartest person in the room with the probing questions, he wants to find out the why. He needs to find out what the direction is. He's already taken 3 steps back. So the question he's asking you is not for the answer. You know what I mean? It's for the sheer fact that you, as the person, are pondering the question. You know?
Right. There's the thought process.
He's already
pretty
10
much.
steps ahead of you. The smart people are scary, man, because they're talking to you, but they're not. You know, and you can, I can sniff them out. The person that's asking you poignant questions is 9 times out of 10 smarter than you. And if you're doing 75% of the talking,
You've already lost the game, huh?
in that retrospect, yeah, absolutely. So the Elon Musk of the world, yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for him being that smart. You know, you imagine looking around like, man, this world is dirty and it can be running on solar energy and we should be in Mars and everything. Like,
Right.
Wow. Me?
My buddy is up in NorCal working for Tesla right now, and he's actually met Elon, and he actually described that same interaction where, you know, he shows up, you know, very unassumedly, you know, so if you're at the bottom of the totem pole and you're just an employee of Tesla, you don't necessarily know that you work for Elon Musk. It's not like walking through a government building where the entire chain of command is on the wall. You know, this is who you need to stand up for when they walk in the room, type of deal. You know, he'll stand over your shoulder, ask you a couple of questions about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and you know how long it takes, and then just keep it moving. You know, like whoever the operator is probably didn't even think twice about the interaction. And then next thing you know, he's standing up in the board meeting, letting people know what time it is.
Yeah.
You know, so he's very involved in what Tesla's up to. Even though he's given those directives and stuff like that, but he's also
he's the visionary though. I mean, the direction they're going, it's like, you know,
light speed.
Well, it's not something I would be doing. He's his own different. I mean, he's got a mission to Mars and he's got roof tiles. It's like, really?
I just saw that.
Pick one.
The solar roof tiles.
It must be. Yeah, I want it. I don't care. I want it. I want a battery in my garage. I want to test the car. And I want roof tiles. Why? I don't know.
Just one of those things. Just because.
I want it. And the funny thing is, in that article, he was saying solar's always been there, but it's never been something that we would say, I want it. Like my
Yeah.
neighbor's got solar. That thing's an eyesore, man. That thing looks
Right.
like, it's like this crazy, Sputnik
Yeah.
landed on its house or something.
Right.
It looks weird. But then you have this guy that's a visionary. Solar panels aren't new.
Right.
Harnessing the sun for energy is not necessarily new technology. The fact that somebody has the vision to say, hey, instead of having Sputnik land on your house,
Right.
why don't we create a roofing tile that is A, more durable than what's out there, and B, looks sharp?
Right.
So I think if he was a technician, he would have said, we need more surface area, and if we use this different type of glass, we'll get more throughput, whatever, and then it's when you get your Sputnik.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right?
Right.
And then you have somebody like that saying, well, we need something that is sexy so that
Right.
the neighbor next door is going to say, I want that. Same as the damn Tesla.
Right.
He's an artist.
Well, at the end of the day, he's a visionary.
Yeah.
And he has grown his company way past being a technician. Can he build a solar panel? Probably in his backyard. Is he ever going to? Because he doesn't have to.
Right.
So that's what's kind of cool about businesses evolving and those types of things. And for him, when I was talking about, I'm an entrepreneur just trying to pay the bills every month, you know what I mean? Trying to grow something of substance. That guy's trying to change the world,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And the funny thing is, that's probably what motivates him.
Yeah. Well, do you think, I think the changing the world makes a question pop in my head. Do you feel like that is scalable from the standpoint that us as entrepreneurs sitting here at this table having this conversation, we are indeed trying to do that as well, just not at a
At that
global
scale.
Right.
Not in a intergalactic scale. Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, you have to find your why, right? There's books upon books about finding your why. And it's like, why get out of the bed in the morning if you're not accomplishing something of value? So I think at the end of the day, every single person, either you're an entrepreneur or you're just get up out of bed, you better find out why you're doing it, and you'll be a happier person if you're
Right.
going along that path. So I truly believe that what I do impacts people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's finance, and if you think about it, it kind of touches every aspect of your life. But I truly believe that I impact people's lives, and if I can do that in a constructive manner that helps them, it makes you feel really, really good.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. I think you should strive to define it,
Right.
because everybody's got it, and it's never really concrete unless you write it down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we were talking about doing your values for your company. If you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for anything.
Right.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, you need to define it, and even if those change,
Sure.
the exercise of writing it down gives you purpose.
Sure.
It gives you a why, and it really becomes a mantra to keep you motivated.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everybody needs it, and it's kind of corny, but write it down. Everybody says it. They
Yeah.
say it.
But it's true. I mean, John said it last week.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny. It's almost like fitness, right?
Yep.
You know what you need to do. You need to burn more calories than you intake, and you will get skinnier. It's a mathematical equation.
Yeah.
It is not, and there's there's billions and billions of dollar industry around that equation.
Mm-hmm.
But still, the why, the motivation, what works for me? Am I having fun? Am I engaging in part of a community? Those types of things are way bigger than that equation of calories versus burning the calories, right? Calories versus intake. So I think that if you don't have the why and how you differentiate, you just don't do it.
Right. I think that a lot of people listen to shows like this, especially as we're, talking about owning a business and being an entrepreneur and stuff like that. For us, we're unhireable. There's no dimension I can picture my life in where I work for somebody. You know what I mean?
True.
But I think that as we discuss it, and while that's my reality, that may not be the reality for people to listen to this show. And I think that while we find happiness in that reality, that's what people need to really focus on. Because you can work for somebody, impact the world, and be happy just because you don't own it or you're not necessarily the visionary. That doesn't limit your impact. And I think that when we get to talking about these things, the message heard, not the message delivered, the message heard is, if I'm not a business owner, I'm not shit. Or that's what we think as business owners. And that's not, I don't perceive that to be the case at all.
Funny thing is, as a business owner, you become to realize that you do work for somebody.
You work for everybody.
You work for everybody. You know why? There's a simple fact, my friend. You get paid last.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know? You've created something that puts food on the table for other people, too. The more you grow and impact other people's lives in what you do, you realize that you're absolutely right. I'm unhireable. I am. Fact.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I do work for people. I work for the people that are my clients.
Mm-hmm.
I work for the people that are my employees. And at the end of the day, if you are, an employee and you're thinking, what I do doesn't impact this and that, then find a better job.
Sure.
Because I just have a job. Yeah, I'm a business owner. Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. But it's a job, and it's the craziest job ever because I get paid last.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that we have to motivate ourselves. We have to create these wonderful, dogma of entrepreneurial business. It's vanity, sure, but at the end of the day, we have to because it's the grind.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's not as glamorous as people think. You know what I mean? When you're reusing paper clips, like I was saying.
Yeah. Right.
It's funny, too, because I'm meeting with somebody, and my card says CEO. It always has, just because I think when I started, I thought it was cool, and I've kept it because I still think it's cool, vanity.
Yeah.
But I'm there cleaning up the office at the end because I knew there was a meeting the next day, and there was, clutter and stuff, and, I'm, taking out the trash and stuff, CEO and janitor.
Right.
I'm just going to put a / whatever else needs to get done, because at the end of the day, I think we have to motivate ourselves that way. You're absolutely right about being unhireable, because we're visionaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not technicians. It doesn't make us good, bad, or indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
I probably could be a technician at something. I'm just not smart enough.
Right.
Yeah. Or you just don't put enough focus on it at that point.
I don't have that kind of focus.
Yeah.
I'm not wired that way. I think there's the right people for the right seats.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's not my seat.
Right.
Actually doing something and accomplishing it makes me feel good in that instance.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have to do that thing over and over again,
right,
I will go insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's just me. But there are some people that have, and you should have pride in what you do and how you do it, and are technically amazing, and you need those people. Hell, I had surgery a couple weeks ago. I will hope that there's somebody that is extremely proficient in what they do over and over again, because it was a life and death situation.
Sure.
That's what I need.
Right.
And the world has different walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for somebody to try to compare different seats as in putting some sort of intrinsic value on it.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
So I think you can empower yourself no matter what seat you sit in, and it's all a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what an interesting book that I read is by James Altucher. I don't know if you guys heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Rich Employee, and he's basically writing to the people who don't have the mindset of possibly being an entrepreneur, owning their own business. But he's saying if you're in the seat of working for somebody, you still treat your job like an entrepreneurship, is where you're adding so much value to that company, and then any success that you have, you ultimately give it to your higher up, say your supervisor. So if you accomplish that goal, instead of saying, I accomplished this goal, you say, I couldn't have accomplished this without, my manager, my supervisor ahead. And his whole methodology behind that was saying, by you being able to delegate the success to your higher up, they're going to be more entitled to help you along the process, because if they move up, you move up with them.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever that may be, they might become the next CEO, whatever it may be. But since you've been the giving person, adding value to them, you will fall along in their path of success as well. And I think that's an interesting book to read if you're currently not in that mindset of being an entrepreneur yourself, but treat your current role as an entrepreneurship, because you own your own destiny within any company, even if you work for it.
I think ownership's a big concept, especially when you're trying to explain that concept to somebody who is not an owner.
Mm.
Own your situation, own the interaction, because ultimately as a business owner, you want that person to do it the way you would do it, which is damn near impossible, but as close as you possibly could, right? You want them to
80% rule.
Yeah, and you just want them to take some ownership and responsibilities in what they're doing and how they're doing it. So that little bit of pride of, even if it's a task, own it to its completion, right?
Sure.
If it's, what the best thing an employee has ever told me? And I had him doing something because I thought it needed to be done. And they came back and said, no. And I go, okay, why, right? And they go, because if you have me do this, what's going to happen is I'm going to spend this time on this. And she really saw that task 10 steps ahead.
Uh-huh.
And I was moving too busy. I mean, I'm not that visionary, I thought I needed to get done because I wanted to get done. It was actually on my checklist. It was actually when I started working in the business, not on the business. I needed to get done. So, and I realized it was just a fool's errand. It was just dumb.
Right.
But to have somebody not doesn't necessarily defy me or whatever, but it's just to help me say, listen, if I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting your time type thing. The wherewithal to have some ownership of the company and what we're doing and where we're going, and does this fit what we're trying to accomplish? And for her to actually have that,
right.
I was really, really excited that she could see past what I asked her to do. Well, that's the ownership you're talking about.
And that says a lot about you, though, that you've created a culture and an environment where she's not reluctant to make that statement. Because how many situations occur where that fool's errand that you see is important, that they know is not, they just go ahead and do it anyway.
Just to shut you up. Well, at the end of the day...
Because I think that
you're right.
You can be respectfully disagreeable and optimize performance simultaneously.
Sure.
It has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not you want to do something. It has everything to do with, is this what I'm best suited for my role in this seat?
Also, if you've explained the vision, what we're trying to accomplish, and you've actually disseminated that and elevated the people who work around you, 'cause I really don't feel like anybody works for me, then they get to see that vision, have a glimpse of it. I mean, maybe I'm looking at 10 years from now, and they're looking from revenue for the next year. If you can translate that in any way, man, I was stoked. I've never been so stoked for somebody to tell me no.
Sure.
Nobody likes no. But I was excited that at least the vision or the path or the game plan had been explained to a certain way that they had enough wherewithal to say, oh, no, we're off course here, Captain.
Right.
And that's cool. I like being challenged,
Right. And it shows they care enough about your company.
And you need to surround yourself with these positive people that a challenge isn't somebody bitching.
Right.
Right? So when you surround yourself with people you trust and respect, you understand that being challenged isn't just them not wanting to do it. It's that we're not accomplishing what we're doing as a team.
That's not the mission.
It's not the mission.
Yeah.
So that's really important. And I think that, that comes that's culture,
Totally, man.
You got to hire on culture and fire on culture, because at the end of the day, I like who you are, but it's how you are that makes the difference, you know?
Yeah. I'm interested in one thing, because I've seen a lot of, through all these podcasts, people have sort of like similar routines as an entrepreneur. What do your routines look like?
Oh, they're all messed up.
Day-to-day basis? Are they really?
Oh, man, I just told the thing is, because it's messed up, it like literally depresses me.
Really?
Because, I got that surgery I had, so I had a little thing that the doctor says you can't work out. And I'm looking at the doctor like, you just broke me as a human,
Just destroyed
my routine. So this morning, it was 5 a.m., so I was like, you know what, I'm going to start this routine again. I'm going to go out and at least be active. I'm going to go for a walk.
Yeah.
I did not. It was dark, dude. My little 3-year-old said, Daddy, can I sleep with you? Yeah, you can. Come here. Let's go, Man, and it's the thing is, routines are your own personal KPIs. I'll tell you what, more powerful than emotion is action, right? So the way I kind of explain it to people is, have you ever seen somebody pissed off? You ever seen pissed off on a jet ski? No way. It's impossible. I think some comedian was saying that. He was like, you ever see somebody with a pissed off face on a jet? No way. You're driving around that thing.
Rolling.
Because you are literally in having fun mode, all of a sudden you're a happy person, right? If you don't do the certain things that get you into certain modes, like some people need to wake up and meditate. That's fantastic. I cannot meditate to save my life. That's just too much going on. So somebody says, just picture nothing. I'm like a black space, so it's like a screen. No, picture nothing. It's like a black piece of paper. And dude, I couldn't do it. Maybe I'm a simpleton or just got too much going on or ADD. But at the end of the day, everybody needs a routine to get them in the right mojo. And that routine, if you have a good day or you have a bad day, your employees don't care. You need to be on point.
Yep.
If you have a good day or you have a bad day, your clients don't care. They need their deliverables. They need to do what you said you were going to do.
Right.
The best way to shake off anything is action. And if you have some deliberate actions every single day on some sort of, routine, you do it. You don't wake up pissed off. You don't have time to think about your mind. You're just doing it. So I'm a big, firm believer of routines, and mine's usually hit the gym. That was awesome. I was kicking it, man. I was getting ripped too.
You're on a roll.
I was on a roll. And that had it.
Stupid surgery.
Doctors, what do you know? I'm gonna get back into that routine because it literally depressed me. If I'm off kilter, it means that I don't know. I just need that. Action is way stronger than emotion every time. And ask yourself, if you're in a crappy mood, I'm not saying jump on a jet ski because that would probably work.
Right.
However, just start doing some actionable things that make you, that empower you, invigorate you, stuff like that. Just shake it off and start moving. If you sit there and slump and dwell, God.
So I think that's a good place for this. We always end the show. I ask 2 questions on a daily basis, however it applies to you, mentally, physically, spiritually, what have you. What's one thing that you do to feed yourself, get you going? And then what's one thing that you do to fuel yourself and keep that motivation, keep that momentum going?
It's actually, they're both the same.
Okay.
It's kind of silly. I don't meditate, but I pray.
Okay.
So my prayers have never, ever been asking for anything. What they consist of is at least trying to find 5 things I'm thankful for. And, just try that. Wake up, do 5 things you're thankful for, and go to bed and do 5 things you're thankful for. You kidding me? Everything seems so simple. You think you have, problems. You really do. You think you got some problems. And I wake up at midnight, with a calculator trying to fix some problems, and it's like, really? You don't. You really don't. If you have a family that loves you, you have a support group that's around you, I have a roof over my head, I never have to worry where my next meal's coming from. At the end of the day, give me 5 things I'm thankful for in the morning and 5 things at night. And, dude, I'm telling you, it puts stuff into perspective. And I think that's kind of my mantra. That'll be my meditation. Okay. I had to give myself action items, right?
Yeah,
No blank screen for me. But, whatever works for you, I think prayer is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Awesome, man.
That's awesome.
Where can the community go to support you, your company, whatever you have going, any initiatives?
Well, great question. If I answered that, I'd have to get a bunch of disclosures afterwards.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about entrepreneurship and stuff.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'll be found.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, I have to get this compliance approved.
Got it.
Okay. Makes sense.
Man, finance is a bitch.
Finance, man. It's like, did you
all
get,
these rules?
Did you get candies for trick-or-treaters? Like, yeah, you have to disclose that. What? Non-cash compensation is what it's called in the biz.
Wow. Okay. I didn't even know any of this.
It's a Snickers bar, man. Come on.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but that's how it is.
Okay. Well, hey, man, we really appreciate your time. We know you're busy. We know you got a lot going on. So definitely thank you for sharing this little bit of time with us and sharing your vision, your philosophy, your methodology, your KPIs. I think that's going to be really helpful to the folks listening to this show.
Right on. It was fun.
Yeah, man. And we'll definitely do it again at some point.
Yeah.
As always, for you guys listening in, support Matt and everything that he's got going on. We'll find some information to put on the show notes that don't necessarily have to be disclosed, so you can be found. And we're so thankful to be a part of your journey, and we really appreciate you guys allowing us to be a part of yours. So until next time, feed me, fuel me. Take it easy, guys.
Later.
And that'll do it. We really hope you enjoyed this episode with our special guest, Matt Kory. If you want to connect with Matt, please go check out the full show notes at feedmefuelme.com. Also, be sure to connect with us on social media, including Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter at feedmefuelme. We would love to hear from each and every one of you. We're excited to announce the Feed Me Fuel Me Summit on July 10th, 2017 here in Arizona. Our keynote speaker for the event will be Forrest Lustos. If you haven't had a chance to hear Forrest's story, be sure to check out his episode number 19, Mastering the Superficial. It's guaranteed to fire you up and make you take action. We'll be releasing event details in the coming weeks on the website and future episodes, so stay tuned. We can't wait to see you all in person. If you found this episode inspiring in any way, please rate, comment, share, and subscribe so we can continue on this journey together. Also, be sure to share it with your friends and family on social media, including Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter, or any other social platforms that you use. We really appreciate you spending your time with us today and allowing us to join you on your journey. We would love to hear your feedback on this episode, as well as guests and topics for future episodes. To end this episode, we would love to leave you with a quote by Mark Cuban. Don't get caught up in how many hours you work. Judge success based on having goals and measuring your results. Hard work and lots of it is certainly needed, but focus on what you get done. Thank you again for joining us, and we will catch you on the next episode.